Good morning, friends. Welcome to Go Long, a show that focuses on local sports and faith, includes thought-provoking interviews with area coaches, players, and sports figures, unashamed Bible discussion, and the one and only, it's back, the popular and entertaining WOYK Scoreboard Show. I'm Wayne McCullough. With me is the birthday girl, Becky B.
Good morning.
Good morning, Becky B, and happy birthday to you. Tremendous to have another birthday, right?
Absolutely. It's always fun to celebrate anything.
Okay, very nice. Well, happy birthday to Becky B. And everyone, thank you so much for being with us, because we've got a dandy with us this morning. Coach Andrew Stifler, Kennerdale boys basketball head coach. Coach Stifler, I call him a young man. He played for me when I coached. He's a great coach. Kennerdale, a well-coached, very, very good basketball team. Coach Stifler, one of the best young men you ever meet, right, Becky B?
He is outstanding.
Yep.
Just the kind of young man you'd want your children to be in contact with.
Absolutely.
Excellent role model.
Yeah, so we're going to talk with Coach Andrew Stifler in just a bit. And Dallastown's boys wrestling coach, Dan Toman. Again, just a wonderful young man. I say young man because I'm older, I guess, right?
Everybody looks young to us now, especially.
Yeah, had a great wrestling career now, head coach at Dallastown, and the Wild Things are doing very, very well in boys wrestling, as Coach Dan Toman continues that tradition of outstanding wrestling at Dallastown and outstanding wrestling coaches at Dallastown. So we're going to talk live with head coach Dan Toman in just a bit. My friends, as Paul addressed believers in Rome and explained his mission in the book of Romans, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. Today, our Go Long Bible verses and our discussion will be on kindness. Isn't there a song, Try a Little Kindness? Try. How's that go, Becky B? Try.
I don't think I know that song, Mac. That might be something you're dreaming up.
No. So we're going to talk about kindness today. That's our mission on Go Long, as we celebrate the accomplishments of our local athletes, coaches, and sports figures. We do so in an unashamed, faith-based way. Throughout the week and during today's show, please text your prayer request to 717-350-8591. And our prayer warriors will go to work. It's red hot, downtown Ollie Brown. Grab the mustard, because this is the Grand Salami of faith-based sports radio shows, brought to you by Sports Radio WOYK 98.9 FM, 1350 AM, first in York, first in sports, and brought to you by our friends Kelsey Jean and Kylie Jane at Red Barn Home Decors, where home staging makes dollars and cents. Alrighty then, you wanted it, you asked for it, and you're going to get it. This is the WOYK Scoreboard. First, in the Go Long Boys Hoops Game of the Week, the Golden Boys of Eastern York sitting on an 8-2 overall record, 3-1 in York Adams Division II, playing host to the Dogtown Boys of West York. West York with an even-steven 5-5 overall record, 3-1 in Division II. And don't forget, the West York Bulldogs have placed the last two York Adams Division II marbles in their trophy case, and it's a crowded trophy case in Dogtown. A great midseason matchup, the Golden Boys of Eastern York and the Dogtown Boys of West York.
Book this win for the Eastern York Golden Knights, as they were 10 points better than the West York Bulldogs, 58-48. 6'6" junior forward Carter Ramsley led the Golden Boys and all scorers with a 20 spot. Ramsley's averaging 15 points per game at this point of the season. Still for the Golden Boys, 5'10" junior guard Brady Seitz contributed 14 in the win. Sophomore guard Jaden Kohler booked 17 to lead the Dogtown Boys.
Still in York Adams Division II, the York Suburban Trojans improved to 9-2 overall, 4-1 in division play with a hard-fought 73-68 win over the New Oxford Colonials. It was a full house at York Suburban for this Division II dandy.
For the Suburbanites, 6'1" freshman point guard Nasir Barnes poured in a game-high 27 points, and 6'4" junior guard forward Kai Strine pocketed a 20 spot, including a dialing long distance 4 times.
I got to repeat that. Freshman point guard Nasir Barnes, 27 points.
You know, that's
Freshman.
putting up some points as a freshman.
Yikes.
You know, traditionally, on the men's side, there usually aren't too many freshmen who can step in and start and really do a bang-up job. Now, we see it sometimes on the female side, but wow.
Yeah, well, what I hear in Nasir Barnes, I haven't seen him play yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Can break some ankles out there on the floor. For the Circletown boys, as they fall to 8-4 overall, 2-2 in Division II play, 6-foot senior Brennan Holmes led with 23.
Still in York Adams Division II basketball, the boys from the Rock, Paper, Scissors played a little Rochambeau with the Dover Eagles as the Susquehannock Warriors win at home 54-45 over Dover. With the win, Susquehannock improves to 4-6 overall, 3-2 in Division II, and Dover falls to 2-10 overall, 0-4 in division play.
In a non-league play, the Fawn Grove boys, the Kennerdale Rams, improved to 5-6 by blowing out Lancaster Lebanon League's Garden Spot 65-43, a 22-point win in Fawn Grove. We're going to talk with Kennerdale's head coach Andrew Stifler in just a bit about that game and his team.
Moving on to York Adams Division I boys hoops, the Papertown boys of Spring Grove hit the road jack to take on the Wild Things of Dallastown, and the Rockets returned to Papertown with a 67-60 win. 6'2" senior guard forward Avon Myers led Spring Grove with an even 20 spot, and Dawson McMaster added 16 as they improved to 7-4 overall, 3-1 in Division I. Dallastown's 6' senior Kobe McNeely had the hot hand of the night as he led with 28, including 5 from downtown Ollie Brown.
In the Aunt Nellie, grab him by the ear, drag him out behind the woodshed, give him a good old-fashioned whooping. Game of the week, the Central York Panthers spanked the Southwestern Mustangs 81-49 as Central improves to 9-2, still unbeaten in Division I play.
And the Red Lion Lions improved to 6-4 overall, 3-1 in York Adams Division I play as they win easily over the Northeastern Bobcats 66-46 as the Northeasterns fall to 6-6 overall, 1-3 in Division I.
All right, in the York Adams Division III boys action, the Littlestown Thunderbolts took care of business as they shocked the York Tech Spartans in Smallsville by a score of 62-39, 6'8" senior forward Christopher Meekin poured in a career-high 35 points for Littlestown. Meekin averaging 23 points a game as the Littlestown Thunderbolts improve to 7-5 overall. More importantly, 5-0 in league play.
The York Catholic Fighting Irish are also now 5-0 in league play, 6-4 overall, as they run the boys from the apple capital of the world through the Foley Food Mill. Final score, York Catholic 62, Biglerville 39.
All right, the Union Springs Eagles improved to 7-5 overall, 3-2 in Division III with a blowout win over the Snacktown Boys of Hanover, 58-32. Senior Tyson Carpenter nailed 17 points for the Eagles, and Dylan, not old Mother Hubbard, found the cupboard not bare as Dylan Hubbard chipped in 15.
The DeLone Catholic Squires pounded the Fairfield Green Knights 77-31. Braden Smith and Luke Reppert, each with 18 for the Squires.
Alrighty, well done, Becky B. So here's a quick look at the boys' basketball standings in the York Adams League. First, in Division I, the Panthers of Central York, 5-0 in league play, 9-2 overall. This one surprises me a little bit. The Papertown boys sitting on a 3-1 league record as Spring Grove is 3-1 in Division I, 7-4 overall. Then Red Line also 3-0 as the Lions are 6-4 overall, 3-1 in league play. In Division II, the Suburbanites, the York Suburban Trojans, 3-1, knotted up with Eastern York. The Golden Boys also 3-1 in Division II. West York 3-2, Susquehannock 3-2. You know, a good New Oxford team, 2-2, and a Kennerdale team that's young but good, also 1-3. You know, this is a pick'em. I mean, there's some good teams there, and that's going to be a pick'em. It'll be fun to watch that come down the road. Division 3, the Smallsville boys, the Littlestown Thunderbolts, playing in the Thunderdome with a 5-0 overall. Division record 7-5 overall. The Fighting Irish of York Catholic also 5-0, as Littlestown and York Catholic share the lead in Division 3, both with 5-0 records. So here's a look also at the District 3 power rankings. First of all, in single A, Linville Hill Christian leads everybody. Lancaster County Day is third, or Lancaster County Christian School, I should say. And here comes Rusty, the York Country Day School, fourth. The Greyhounds are fourth in single A. Double A, Lancaster Mennonite, 9-3. They lead the pack in double A. In triple A, the Trinity Shamrocks lead with a 6-2 record. Columbia, the Crimson Tide, 6-2. Then, third in the power rankings, the 7-4 DeLone Catholic Squires, the McSherrystown Boys. And fourth, the 6-5 York Catholic Fighting Irish. In 4A boys basketball, Berks Catholic out of the Berks League, no surprise here, right? Unblemished, 8-0. They just put together a powerhouse every year. Octorara, this is, Octorara is not always a great basketball school, but they're at 11-1. They're in 4A. Eastern York, third, 9-2, and Becky B's Fleetwood Tigers, fourth, with a 9-1 record. In 5A, not far from my favorite place, the Kissing Tower, Hershey has an 8-1 record to lead all teams in 5A. Mannheim Central, the Barons, are 9-1. Second, the Tool Time Boys of Mechanicsburg with a 9-3 record, or third. York Suburban now 9-2. They're fourth in power rankings. And also Spring Grove, the Papertown Boys, with a 7-4 record, are ninth. New Oxford with an 8-4 record is 12th. That's a tough bracket, isn't it?
That's a really tough bracket.
Yikes.
Yes.
And then in the big boy pants bracket, the 6A bracket, Cumberland Valley. Nobody's unbeaten here in 6A play. I find that interesting. Cumberland Valley 8-1, Central York second with 9-2. And get a load out of these, the number of York Adams teams in the 6A power ranking. So already mentioned Central York second. Then you're going to have Red Line 11th. William Penn, York High 12th, Dallastown 13th, Northeastern 15th. So lots of York Adams team.
Great representation from York Adams in there.
Yep.
All right, in the York Adams girls hardwood play, the Go Long girls game of the week featured the unbeaten 11-0 Northeastern Bobcats and the unbeaten 9-0 York Suburban Trojans. This midseason dandy played in Manchester, with the Northeasterns coming away with a 48-43 win over the Suburbanites. For the unblemished Bobcats, 5'10 junior Laura Lee Kennedy led with 16, including 4 trays for her night at the office, and Janae Rissmiller led the Suburbanites with 9.
Alrighty, the Dogtown girls of West York pounded the Golden Girls of Eastern York 60-32, as West York improves to 8-3 overall, 4-1 in Division 2 play. Not so. I guess I would have said this is a pick'em game, not so much a surprise that West York wins. The score surprised me, right?
Yes,
60
that
to
did
32.
surprise me too.
Yep. Brooke Knowles led West York with 14. Ariana Seitz led Eastern with 11, as Eastern York falls to 5-4 overall, 2-2 in division play.
The girls from the Rock trailed up Route 74 to take on the Dover Eagles, as Susquehannock wins 44-39 to improve to 4-6 overall, 2-3 in Division 2. Mackenzie Gamber led the Warriors and everyone else in the Dover gym with 2 dozen. Dover is still looking for their first division win.
Already in a really good York Adams League Division 1 matchup, the Central York Panthers picked up a 42-34 win over the Southwestern Mustangs. Central sitting on a 10-2 overall record, 4-1 in Division 1, while the Stangs, well, they fall till they're pretty daggone good, 9-3 overall record, 2-2 now in Division 1 of Southwestern.
You've got to love buzzer-beating wins.
I do.
So give this buzzer-beater win to the Red Lion Lions as they win 50-49 over the New Oxford Colonials. Grace Masser nailed the game-winning tray for Red Lion, and Reagan Smith led with 16 in the win.
The Wild Things of Dallastown stay unbeaten with a 49-25 blowout over the Spring Grove Rockets. The Wildcats of Dallastown now 10-0 overall, 5-0 in Division 1 girls play.
In York Adams Division 3 girls play, the DeLone Catholic Squirettes stay unblemished with a 62-25 easy win over Fairfield. Brielle Bauman led with 16, and Megan Jacoby added 15 for DeLone.
I've been losing sleep over this for a while. What is a Squirette? All right, just asking. All right.
I don't think it's anything to lose sleep over.
York Catholic Lady Irish took care of business and won easily over Biglerville 49-23. Bermudian Spring snacked on Hanover 42-26. And York Tack wins over Littlestown 46-40 in girls hoop.
Here's a quick look at the girls' standings in the York Adams League. In Division 1, Dallastown unblemished with a 5-0 record, 10-0 overall. Central York at 4-1, 9-2 overall, and Southwestern and William Penn both at 2-2 in league play. As we look at Division 2, Northeastern is still unblemished with that 4-0, 12-0 overall record. West York at 4-1 and 8-3 overall, with York Suburban now in third place with a 3-1 division record. And Division 3, York Catholic stays unblemished at 4-0 at 10-0 overall. Delone stays unblemished. York Catholic's at 4-1 with Bermudian Springs at 3-1 overall.
You know, Coach Bankos, the head coach of York Catholic, the Lady Irish, told us weeks ago Delone Catholic's a team to beat. And, you know, Coach Bankos is one of those guys, when he talks, people listen, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think he probably is pretty daggone right there. I mean, I'm not sure anybody's really going to challenge Delone at this point. And that, I'm not just saying York Adams League. And York Catholic's good. I mean, they're 4-1.
Well, you always have to watch out for the girls from Trinity. They usually put together a pretty good team up there as well. They traditionally, in the past, you see that Delone and Trinity or York Catholic and Trinity may line up for a District 3 championship, and then going on to state play, you get a little bit of a mix when you have some of those. But, I find it interesting this year that York Catholic is not in the same power ranking division in district play as Delone Catholic. So they won't be meeting up when
not in district play, right?
When they go on to district play.
Well, let's look at that. Here's District 3 girls power rankings in single A. Veritas Academy 8-1, Linville Hill Christian 8-1. They lead single A. In double A, Millersburg is 10-2. They lead all schools in double A. In triple A, and this is what Becky B is talking about, Columbia, the Crimson Tide, unbeaten. They're 5-0 in triple A. Lancaster Catholic 9-1. York Catholic, playing 3A, was 7-4. They are 5th. Biglerville, the girls from the Apple capital of the world, 10th in triple A. In 4A, well, there's a couple pretty daggone good teams here. We mentioned Delone Catholic. They lead the pack with a 10-0 record. Wyomissing 11-0 out of the Berks League. They are 2nd. And then Eastern York 7th in 4A with a 5-4 record. So, yeah, here's what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
If York Adams teams do match up in district play, Delone likely will be matching up out of their Division 3 with somebody from Division 2, like in Eastern York, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, then in 5A, York Suburban girls are 8-1. They are number 1 ranked power ranking in PIAA District 3. Northern York, the Polar Bears, hey, they have a number 3 ranking. There's actually 3 teams undefeated in girls play in 5A. York Suburban, Susquehanna Township, and Northern York. Then the West York Bulldogs, the Dogtown girls, have a 4th ranking in 5A.
But just remember, York Suburban just lost to Northeastern, so they're no longer undefeated.
No, they're 8-1, right?
Right. Yeah. So, but they have the higher power rankings because they're often playing larger schools.
Well, true. Then in 6A, Dallastown is number 1 power ranking. Northeastern, number 2 power ranking. Central York, number 4 power ranking. How about this? York High, the Bearcats, the Lady Bearcats, in the 8th ranking right now. Southwestern, 11th ranked with a 9-3 record, and the Lions of Red Lion, 14th with a 6-6 record.
Go YAIAA! Wow, talk about showing some strength there.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Becky B, let's move to the swimming hole.
All right, in the Go Long Boys swimming meet of the week, the Susquehannock Warriors at their home concrete pond at the Shrewsbury YMCA stay unbeaten with a convincing 121-45 win over York Suburban. Tyler Burgess took gold for the Warriors in the 200 free and the 100 backstroke.
And the Warriors, by the way, are looking to repeat as the York Adams Division II champions. And in the Go Long Girls Swimming Meet of the Week on Thursday at the Shrewsbury YMCA, the York Suburban Trojans stay unbeaten with a 107-62 win over Susquehannock. For Suburban, Chloe Chavot with a first-place finish in the 200 individual medley and 500 free, and Chloe Moore captured gold in the 200 free and 100 backstroke.
I guess if your name's Chloe, you're a pretty good swimmer, huh?
I think so. I think so. All right, then in Division One swimming hole, the Central York Panthers swam to 101-82 win over Spring Grove. Winners for Central York: Christian Hendry on the 200 free and 100 breast, Nick Snyder 200 individual medley and 500 free, and Austin Welsh in the 100 back and the 100 free.
And in girls swimming, Southwestern stays unbeaten with a 108-61 win over Red Lion. Amelia Lossian won the 100 free and the 200 free, and Elise Leonard was first in the 500 free and the 50 free to lead the Stangs. Now, 500 and the 50, those are like the two opposite ends.
Yeah.
She just likes freestyle, huh?
Well, she does, but after I swim 500, I'm not going to swim anything else. First of all, it's not going to be swimming 500, but, we're just starting York Adams competition in the swimming hole. Dallastown 0-1, Northeastern, Central York, Southwestern, each 1-0 in that league play. The Warriors of Susquehannock, as we mentioned, 4-0 overall, 1-0 in Division 2. There's stiff competition going to come from Dover. Dover's also 1-0. Nothing, no surprise there. 3-2 overall. That boys swimming.
And a quick look at the York Adams girls swimming standings. Southwestern and Dallastown and Spring Grove 1-0 in Division play. Southwestern, though, 5-0 overall. And in Division 2, York Suburban leading and Dover at 1-0. Suburban is 3-0 overall, and Dover 5-0 overall in the girls swimming.
Alrighty, in the Go Long boys wrestling match of the week, Central York stays unbeaten as they win over Dallastown. They give Dallastown their first loss in the division with a 43-21 win as Central York wins over Dallastown. That was Thursday night at Central York. Central York had pins by Carter Davis at 160, Aiden Sheffer at 107. Cash was nothing but money as Cash Twig had a pin at 114, and Elias Long at a pin at 145 for Central York. Also, Redline fell to New Oxford in boys swimming 36-27, and Kennerdale wins over West York 33-21. DeLone Catholic 43-30 over Hanover in boys wrestling. That's going to be hotly contested when you have DeLone Catholic and Hanover.
Oh yeah, that's a battle, a cross-town battle there.
Yep. So, quick look at the York Adams League in wrestling. Central York 3-0, New Oxford 2-1, Dallastown 2-1, the Papertown Boys 1-1. In Division 2, Eastern York is 3-0, York Suburban 3-0, Susquehannock 2-1 in Division 2. Then in Division 3, the boys from the Apple capital of the world, the Biglerville Canners 2-0, and the Smallsville boys, Littlestown sitting at a 2-1 record. DeLone and Hanover both 1-1 in boys wrestling.
Moving to girls wrestling, Southwestern winning over Spring Grove 54-12. And this was at Southwestern on Thursday evening. For Southwestern, last week we talked to Natalie Handy. She was one of our interviewers. She pinned Emma Hess in 25 seconds.
Yikes.
What can you do in 25 seconds? I mean, that's hardly enough to shake hands and dance around a little bit before take down and pin.
Yep, amazing.
I mean, that is absolutely amazing. Also wins for Southwestern: Adriana Gonzalez, Angel Upright, Miriam Westford, Gracelyn Harden, Davina Crump, Kayla Anderson, Kiera Bronzowski, Haley Ellis, and Tatum Duckworth. Tatum pinning in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Now that I can see.
Yep.
Goodness. All righty.
Very amazing. Hey,
Absolutely
York College
amazing.
men's basketball team dropped an 85-69 decision at Eastern University in MAC Commonwealth play yesterday afternoon. That game played in St. David's. The Spartans trailed by as many as 14 early, but you know what? In the second half, they made this a game. They got within 2 with just 7 minutes to play. Then Eastern, the Eagles pulled away late in the game for their second league win of the year. York now 7-6 overall, 0-2 in MAC Commonwealth play, while the Eagles improved to 10-3 overall, 2-0 in league play. The Spartans return to action on Wednesday afternoon as they welcome Stevenson University to Wolf Gymnasium for MAC Commonwealth contest. Tip time in York is scheduled for 7 p.m. If you can't make it to that game at Wolf Gymnasium, Daryl Henry will have the call here on WOYK. Hey, yesterday in that game at Eastern, Kai Kapala of Lidditz and Warwick High School, he had 16 points. Tate Landis, also from Warwick High School, had 15 points for York. So Warwick had 31 points, right?
Well, basically,
Right.
it's kind of interesting to see that kind of chemistry, though, when you get to the college level. Those two are obviously used to playing together at the high school level and, continuing playing together at the college level. And, when you play with somebody for a long time, you just kind of get the idea of where they're going to be, what kind of cuts they're going to make, and so forth.
Yeah.
And just... what can I say?
Right.
You can kind of feed off of each other. In the York College women's basketball, the York College women's basketball team got off to a real fast start and then cruised from there as they went on the road and downed Eastern 65-42 in MAC Commonwealth play on Saturday in St. David's. The Spartans ripped off a 21-5 bulge in the first quarter and then closed out the game with a 17-8 fourth quarter advantage to earn the 23-point win. York improves to 8-4 overall and 2-0 in Commonwealth, while Eastern falls to 5-7 all and 1-1 in the league. And leading the pack, Brianna Grimm from Eastern York scored 16 points to help the Spartans there. Up next, York will continue their 4-game road trip on Wednesday evening. They'll head to Owings Mills, Maryland to face Stevenson University in that MAC Commonwealth Conference.
All right.
And a 7 o'clock tip-off.
Alrighty. Friday night, the Penn State York men's team. Check this out. They improved to 12-3
Ooh, they're
this season with a 104-101 double overtime win at Hartford Community College, leading all scorers Derek Brown, who is from New Oxford. He is a 6'5" senior business major from New Oxford. He led with 25 points. Well done, Derek Brown, and this Penn State York men's team. Up next for them, Wednesday, they will host Central Penn. That's a makeup from January 6th. That game at Penn State York, 8 p.m.
And Penn State women's basketball now has a 7-7 record. They also played Hereford Community College on Friday, ended up with a win, 65-54 in that game. Their next game will be also a makeup on Wednesday the 10th against Central Penn at 6 o'clock.
Jayla Brown, who is a senior from New Oxford High School, led Penn State York with 17 points. Well done, Jayla, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, friends, it's time to go long. Today we're going to talk about kindness and also read some Bible verses, but you got to think in today's world, the world that we live in, the world that we interact with others in, that kindness is something we just desperate need for, right? Go ahead.
Well, so often in the news and in everyday life, there's a fault finding, a negativity almost that pervades it. It's not news unless something bad happens, it seems. But so when you see it and you hear about kindness, it really adds a positive spark to your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Christians, God calls for us to be the light in the world, right? Mm-hmm. To love and to be kind to all, even to our enemies, and not just to be kind, but to be prayerful for them. Kindness, my friends, is something that I think is a reflection of us being Christians. It's spirit-given, right? Left up to me, I'm going to be a Nimrod. And
you said it.
No, and when somebody crosses me, that old hair on my old Irish neck stands up straight. But through prayerful thought and actually for me practice, right? I got to practice it, and through prayer, praying that I can be a light that comes across to others, and also that folks can say, that person is a Christian first, right? That kindness, the idea of being compassionate for one another and forgiving to one another is a gift from God. And I think it's our responsibility to be that light. What do you think, Beck?
Well, I think, at least observing you through our 42 years together, I have noticed that you especially have become more mellow, more gentle, more kind, as you've gotten older. And I think that's from experience. At least from my life experience, I've kind of, you see a lot of bad things happen, and you realize how much your life is impacted when somebody is kind to you, and kind of want to spread that kindness and share that kind of impact with others, because having a positive effect just by a kind word, a little taking time out for a little gesture during the day, whatever, can really, really make somebody's day. You never know by looking at somebody what might be going on underneath. You don't know what kind of day they're having, what kind of home life they have, anything like that. And it doesn't hurt. It takes but a second, and it costs absolutely nothing to say something kind to somebody, giving them a compliment of some kind, or seeing a young mom in the grocery store who is trying to juggle a cartload of groceries and 3 toddlers, and they want every kind of cereal on the shelf, and just telling her what a great job she's doing with her kids. Takes 2 seconds and could really make a difference in her day as well.
Yeah, just a couple Bible verses, and then we want to talk with Dan Toman, the wrestling coach at Dallastown, and we'll get back to this later on the show. From Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. Gosh, what a role model we have in Christ, right?
Absolutely. He showed kindness even on the cross as he was, being tortured to the thieves that were next to him on the cross. Unbelievable. What a model.
Yeah, Luke chapter 6, verse 35, but love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. What a role model is we talked about in our Christ Jesus. It's not easy. It's not a small thing to be kind, but my friends, it yields just a marvelous fruit in our lives. And just pursue that kind of kindness with others. The book of Proverbs said, whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness, and honor. It will also, in addition to what it does in your relationships, it will benefit, and it will fulfill in many ways your spirit in your life.
Absolutely, yes.
Alrighty, my friends. So we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Becky B., you have an announcement to make?
I do. We had announced earlier in the month, and there had been quite a lot of publicity on WOYK. Today there was a mental health symposium for student athletes that was scheduled to be at Susquehannock High School, highlighting the different strategies that student athletes can use, different strategies for parents and coaches. Unfortunately, because of the weather situation, that has been postponed. There has not been another date for the rescheduling at this point, but we look forward to hearing more about that in the future.
All righty, thank you, Becky B. I want to just take a minute and thank our sponsors, Red Barn Home Decors, Kelsey Jean and Kylie Jane. I want to tell you a little bit about their business. What they do is they will come into your home and place furniture, art, other decor in your home to help your home sell. So if you're a realtor, a home flipper, or if you're even just an individual who is looking to sell their home, I encourage you to contact Red Barn Home Decor. They are on the web, www.redbarnhomedecors.com. They are a York County-based business. their statistics are incredible. Your home sells quickly. Your home sells for even more than what the asking price is their experience. So, my friends, first of all, I just want to thank Red Barn Home Decor for sponsoring our show on a weekly basis, but also encourage you, our listeners, to use local-based, Christian-based firm for your business needs. Alrighty, as promised, with us right now, the head wrestling coach of the Dallastown Wildcats, Coach Dan Toman. Coach, thanks for being with us. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, I hate to look back, but my goodness, you had an important Division I matchup this week with Central York. You're young. I think you're experienced wrestlers. You had some wins out of your seniors. It was a great match. You just came up a little bit short. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was obviously a very important one for the county title this year, and I think our guys did pretty well. We actually, I think we actually got ourselves in a position where we really felt like we had the opportunities we needed, and really just kind of came up short in a couple of weights. A couple of our guys, maybe didn't come through the way we thought they would. I honestly give a lot of credit to Central. A lot of their younger guys did much better than we may have anticipated. We know that they have a lot of returning talent, and we were anticipating that, but that wasn't actually where we ran into our problems, I think. So just a lot of credit to them for really preparing well, I think, and coming through when they needed to.
Coach, it doesn't get any easier in Division I. I mean, you have Southwestern looking ahead, January 11th, Thursday, January 18th, Spring Grove. And when you get on the mat in Division I in New York Adams League, you got a tough matchup.
Well, absolutely. There's no down week. There's no we can take it easy because we're just have whoever. That doesn't exist. Everybody every Thursday night you can find a gym in York County where guys are really throwing down, and there's never going to be one you just walk out of there thinking in there, I should say, just thinking, oh, this will be easy. It doesn't happen. Everybody's competing well, and this time of season is when you start to deal with the injuries and the illnesses and trying to, you really never know what you're going to get. So there's always some surprises, but there's most guys, most teams, they're preparing for these things, not just throughout the season, but year round. I mean, I know our guys are working in the spring and the summer, the fall, trying to get better, and I know that other teams are doing the exact same thing. So when you finally get to payday, as we call it, in January, there's never going to be an easy one.
All right, Coach, this is your first year at the helm. I'm sorry, second year at the helm for the Wildcats now. After wrestling for a very storied coach, kind of an icon in wrestling history here in York County, is there any pressure on you in that standpoint, or is the second year easier than the first year?
Well, the second year is definitely easier than the first, and yes, it was a bit of a challenge. I mean, you said icon. I would use the word legend probably when describing Coach Dave Gable. I mean, I don't think there's a coach anywhere in York County, much less in the Dallastown community, that doesn't know who Dave Gable is and doesn't know just what he means to not just wrestling at Dallastown, but wrestling in York County, maybe even, District 3 for sure, but maybe even all the PIAA. He's a fixture and just laid the foundation for a lot of what wrestling in Pennsylvania, in my opinion, is today, and obviously had a huge effect on me as a wrestler and just as a person through the coach and the kind of the man he is. So I could spend the next hour just telling you what a great guy I think he is, but trying to follow that up as the head coach was certainly a task. And a lot of that was just trying to. And speaking more to last year, I guess, as the first year of my tenure as the head coach, I kind of just did what I tell my wrestlers to do all the time, which is to do one thing at a time. Don't try to think about trying to have a legacy like him, because that's probably impossible. Don't even think about trying to have a legacy at all, or don't think about trying to win a title, or don't think about trying to just try to focus on what's in front of you. Do the thing you're doing right now as best you can, and then when the next thing comes along, you do that. And I figure it's good advice to my wrestlers. It's good advice to me. So that's kind of what I looked at every dual meet, 1 meet at a time, every tournament, just one thing at a time. And you put enough good things together over time and good things happen. As far as this year, I would say, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say less pressure. It's just a little bit less daunting because I actually have the first idea of what's going on, and everything's not new or for the first time, so I have a little bit more of a sense of kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing personally. So that's pretty much sort of how we handle things here, and obviously Coach Gable's still a big fixture in our girls program, and it's not like he just retired and said, well, I'm off to Florida, and he's out of pocket. He's still very much around, and we talk often about just how we're running our programs and how we're going to try to continue to make Dallastown wrestling for both the boys and the girls the best it can be.
Well, it's fantastic to have a mentor, somebody like that you can look to and think, what would Coach Gable do in this situation? But
amen to that.
putting your own twist on it, I think, is very powerful too.
Oh yes, absolutely, and that's one of the things that I had to grow into. I mean, for the first year, it was more a matter of how would Coach Gable handle this, and maybe I should kind of stick to the same thing because for our upperclassmen, they're getting a new coach. They're used to an old way of doing things. And I volunteered with the program prior to being the head coach, so I had a sense of how, Coach Gable ran practices. But, this year it was a little bit more comfortable for me to start doing things, if you want to say it that way, my own way, and starting to get more into how I would run things as opposed to just trying to carry on the same things. And whether it's Coach Gable or Coach Toman or whoever it is, when it comes to Dallastown wrestling, our bottom line is, we want to compete hard, we want to succeed, and it doesn't really matter who's in charge. That's going to be the way we try to do business.
We're speaking with Dallastown Wildcats head wrestling coach Dan Toman. Coach, I'm going back to 2000, 2001 when you wrestled for Dallastown High School. You were regional champion, 6th in all of the state. Tremendous wrestling background in 3 years at Dallastown, 64 wins, 23 losses. You were never pinned. That I found impressive. Now, here's why I say all that. First of all, great wrestler, tremendous coach. Everyone speaks so highly of you, Coach. I'm a basketball guy, and basketball's changed since the year 2001. More, the three-point line, more dribble penetration. Things had changed, but has wrestling changed much since then?
As far as the actual rules and conduct of the sport, I would say not really. In just as much as, wrestling is maybe the oldest sport on earth. So, the concept behind it is basically the same. So, mechanically, functionally speaking, I think wrestling's about the same as it was. And as far as how we score and how we move through the sport and conduct ourselves, I don't think much has changed. I think the culture of the sport has changed a bit. I'll say, you spoke to my own, kind of accolades way back when, and I'll say that for my part, and I think, I seem to recall looking at a news article that was written in the paper back when the paper was actually on paper, years ago, and Coach Gable was actually quoted as saying, they were talking about me and how I was progressing, my senior year. And, Coach Gable's response, he was my coach back then, said, well, he just had a lot of enthusiasm for the sport. Now, you can say that as well. Okay, that's a positive. Hey, he's giving you a compliment. And he wasn't wrong. But that was, knowing Coach Gable the way I do, that was a veiled way of saying, he technically he may not be the best, but he's going to work really, really hard. That was what he meant by saying that, and he's not wrong. I wasn't a very broad scope of technique wrestler. I just really tried to grind and work hard and outwork the people I was wrestling. That was how I approached things, and I think that there's still a lot of that. But what I think I see a lot of in the sport today is almost this polarization, you might say, of guys who really are, I should say, kids, wrestlers now who are really digging into the sport. You know, they're wrestling year round. They're going to clubs. They're finding camps, and they're really just kind of one sport athletes going all in on wrestling. And then there's others who just wrestle because they enjoy the sport and they play other sports too, and they kind of have more of a balance to it. And I was more the latter. I played football as well at Dallastown, and I enjoyed other things. Now, to me, wrestling was kind of number one, but still, there's that creating this situation where, even if you look at like our own lineup, we have some guys who are really kind of setting themselves apart. And it's because of the work they're putting in, not during wrestling season, right? And that's something that did exist back when I wrestled, but it was very few and far between. Now it's becoming more and more commonplace, and that does create a different. It creates a different kind of setup to the sport, because you have some real hammers out there on our team, on other teams too, and then you have some other kids that you're trying to coach very differently, because they're just trying to develop themselves and kind of hold their own and get what they can out of it. So it's a little different these days, I think, just trying to manage those different levels of basic skill, but then also those different levels of what do you really want to get out of the sport. And in my case, what I try to do as a coach, I actually sit down with most of my wrestlers, at least, if not all of them, prior to the season, and do a lot of goal setting. What do you want to get out of this sport? How far do you want to go? What do you really want to see yourself do? And then it's just a matter of trying to see if what they're putting into the sport is going to align with what they want to get out of it. Because wrestling, maybe more than any sport I've ever done, is one of those where you really get out of it what you put into it. And if you're not putting in the work and putting in the effort, then achieving those goals, may not be something that you should be, setting your sights on. And we have some frank conversations about that. So I think the sport has changed in that regard. But I wouldn't even say that's limited to wrestling. I mean, I'm sure other sports, football and others, are kind of the same way. Youth sports has become quite the industry in the last 20 years. And I'm sure that, wrestling is no different than any other. So.
Yep. Well, today on Go Long, we celebrate Dallastown Wildcats head wrestling coach, Dan Toman. What a great coach you are. What a great career you've had wrestling. We look forward to having that same great career as the head wrestling coach at Dallastown. Coach, you're a great gentleman, and we appreciate that very, very much here on Go Long. So thanks for being with us. We look forward to following the Wildcats and hopefully touch base with you when you get into the districts and regionals and wrestling playoffs later on this year.
That sounds good, sir. Well, thank you very much for having me.
All righty. Thank you, Coach.
All righty. Now, next up for us is going to be Coach Andrew Stifler from the Fawn Grove Boys Southeastern Basketball. Coach Stifler has been leading the Fawn Grove team and is coming off a very successful season where they ran into districts, losing to eventual District 3 winner, Berks Catholic, last year. Coming back with a young team at Southwestern this year with only one returning starter for Southwestern. We look forward to talking to Coach Stifler.
Coach Stifler, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it very much.
You're welcome, Wayne.
All right, Coach, tell us about your team. You had a great 20-point win Friday night over Garden Spot. Tell us about some of those players and some of the things you're doing.
Yeah, it was a really good win last night, Wayne. Garden Spot came into the game last night. They won 4 of their last 5 games. They lost to Manheim Central, who was undefeated at the time. I know Manheim Central lost last night, but only by a couple points. And my guys just played really great last night. We had a great first quarter, probably our best first quarter of the season. And we got a nice lead, and we just played a really good game overall last night, so I was really proud of them.
Coach, tell us about some of your players. Where do you get points from? Who do you rely on to defend the ball? I mean, who's your rebounder? Tell us a little bit about some of your players.
Well, Levi Chernetska is my only returning starter from last season. He's my point guard. He's averaging 11 points a game. He's just a great point guard. He handles the ball well. passes the ball well and can score. And then Dylan Logue has been averaging about 10 points a game for us. He did start for me a little bit last year. He played for me as a freshman. He's a junior now, and he had a great game last night. He had 16 points in the game. He really had a great first quarter. And Ryan Pernowski, one of my forwards, he's averaging about 9 a game. He's been doing really well too. But we put Ryan Schwab on the Conrad boy from Garden Spot, who's a really outstanding player, and I thought he did a good job. He held him to 11 points in the game, and I thought that was a big factor in the game.
Now, Coach, you talked a little bit here about your leaders who are scoring and rebounding. Tell us about your emotional leaders, because, in high school sports, some of that non-skill set is so very important.
Yeah, my two captains are Levi Shenetska, my point guard that I said. He leads by example. Just a great basketball player and pretty calm. And Connor Wolf, who's one of my other forwards, that to me is like an unsung player on our team. He plays great defense. Doesn't score a lot of points. Last night he had 8 points, did a good job, but he just plays great defense. And he's another one of our leaders on our team. So those are two, those are my captains. And like I mentioned before, Dylan Logue, he's a very good competitor, and he just had a great game last night for us. And when he can add to the team along with some of the other guys, it really puts us in a good position.
Well, you mentioned you have a young team, but you're 5-6 overall. That's not bad for a team that's a young team.
Yeah, I mean, we lost 4 starters last year. We made the second round of districts, beat Elko, and then lost to Berks Catholic, who won the district championships. And I knew, only coming back with one real returning starter with Levi Shenetska and then Dylan Logue, who had some experience, that, we lost a lot of scoring. So, at this point to be 5-6, I'm pretty proud of where we're at right now. The kids are working really hard. They're playing really hard. And, I have 4 core values that we talk about all the time: competing. And we've been competing, having relationships with each other, being a team. And I feel like we're really coming on as a team. And our third one is, great attitude and effort. And the kids have been giving me that. And, our last one is, we got to have grit. We got to play with some grit on the court. And I'm pretty pleased with how we've been playing so far to this point, with only having 1 or 2 guys back that have real varsity experience from last year.
We're speaking with Coach Andrew Stifler, head boys basketball coach for the Fawn Grove boys. Coach, if there's anybody that I have ever had the opportunity to coach that exemplifies all those core values that you just mentioned, it is Andrew Stifler. I mean, you got grit. You're a great teammate. You play hard every second. You are everything that any coach would want to have on the floor, as a leader, as somebody who's unselfish. So there is no doubt in my mind that those players of yours pick up those characteristics as well. It's just no question in my mind. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about, from a coaching standpoint, Becky B talked about, how do you talk about those leaders? But as a coach, tell us a little bit about how you try to coach, those skills with young people, because I know they're so important to you.
Well, we try to emphasize it, all the time. I talk to the kids about it. We give a quote every day at practice. We're constantly emphasizing it. I'm big on culture. I think you have to fight for your positive culture every day. I had a great mentor, a guy named Wayne McCullough. I think you might know him.
No, I've never heard of the guy.
Yeah, and I learned so much from that guy. I owe a lot to him. And, I just... The best thing for me is when I see my kids being successful, that's what makes me happy as a coach. You spend so much time working on game plans, practice plans, watching game film, and the best part of my job is when the kids are successful, not only on the court, but off the court too. So, so that's my answer to that.
All right, well, we're going to get back and talk about some of the teams in the York Adams League, but I can't not take the opportunity. A couple Andrew Stifler stories. There was one time that we were playing up at CD East and we lost, and I know you didn't feel like you had your best shooting game. I come home, I go to bed, I wake up, it's snowing outside, I hear a ball bounce, and I look out my window, and you're out in your back driveway shooting baskets. I mean, that's just the kind of competitor you are, right?
Yeah, I mean, just try to instill that in the kids too. I think that's so important. You got to compete on the basketball court, and we do have a group of kids this year that do like to compete. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, the other thing I think you do so well, Andrew, is modeling and setting expectations. Because I remember when you were, just a young man at Warrior basketball camps, and they would send you with the whole bout of first and second graders over to another gym, and you'd be in charge of them, and there would be chaos if you were not involved. But when you would get up in front of them, you would have the expectations that they'd be listening, that they'd be paying attention. You would model everything you expected from them. And it went so smoothly just because you instilled that in those young kids.
And Becky, I think, you were a teacher, and, I'm a big believer in this. You have to have relationships with the kids first. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. So I just try to build a rapport with the kids too, and that helps instill what you want out of them too. I just try to teach at practice. Practice is my favorite time because you're actually doing the teaching part and trying to help the kids get better.
Coach, I love chatting basketball with you. I love just talking with you, period. I'm so proud of you. Such a great young man, great coach. In Division II, obviously Suburban, Eastern, West York, outstanding 3 teams. Who do you think what teams have you seen so far this year that you say, gosh, they're just pretty daggone good?
Yeah, Wayne, our division's really tough. Coming into the season, Eastern had a lot back. Obviously, they're very good. We haven't played them yet. We play them next Friday. York Suburban, has almost everybody back from last year, and then they added the freshman Barnes, so they're outstanding. And West York's always just solid. They just play a great, solid half-court defense. And, New Oxford has everybody back from last year, and they're very good. And and Dover's won their last 2 games. I watched them. They're vastly improved. They're doing a nice job. And Susquehannock, we split with them so far, and they have a nice team. So Wayne, our division's pretty tough. You got to come ready to play every night. Anything can happen.
No, I agree, but there's no question in my mind. Everybody who's listening, Coach Stifler's teams come prepared. They're well prepared. They're well coached. So, Coach Stifler, I don't care who you're playing. If I'm coming to that game, I'm sticking my lunch bet on the Kennerdale Rams just because of Coach Stifler. Coach, I can't let you go without talking about your family. I love your family. Your dad coached me, was a manager in baseball for me. What a great man. Your mother's one of the nicest, best people you could ever meet. They just don't get any better than your mother. And your brothers I coached with, and just wonderful people. Your family, I consider some of the best people. And really, if you think of York County being good people, the Stiflers are good people. Tell us a little bit about your family, Coach, and what it means to you.
Well, Wayne, I'm just very blessed. My mom and dad they've been awesome my whole life. I have 2 great older brothers. Couldn't ask for a better family. I'm very blessed to be a part of it. So, that my parents instilled a great work ethic in me. You have to work hard for everything you want. And, I just love my mom, my dad, my 2 brothers, and I'm just very blessed, Wayne.
All right. Now, Andrew, tell us a little bit. We're going to go long. Tell us a little bit about your faith.
The older I get, the more important it is to me. It's super important to me. I try to start, I try to do the Lord's will every day. I try to do the best I can. I heard a sermon one time from a great pastor at our church that talked about, it's not about climbing the ladder, it's about coming down and helping people. And when I heard that, that really hit me. And I just try to help people. I just want to, whether it's I'm teaching at my school or whether I'm coaching, I'm just trying to help people and do the best I can in that aspect. My faith is super important to me, Becky.
Guys, we're going to just pause there for a minute, and we're going to say, so long may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. So we're going to say so long, go long, to our radio listeners live in just a few seconds, and we're going to continue the recording, just a couple seconds left with an interview with Coach Stifler, and then we're going to continue recording, I should say, our final prayer of the day. So every week you can go and listen to the recording if you go to WOYK's website and go to the section where you look at the recording of our viewers. So thank you so much for being with us. We'll say go long, and we'll continue in just a bit.